about to interview the mayor of Hempstead, right?
No, the mayor, man. We down with the mayor, man. We come a long way.
Down with the mayor. So listen, check us out. We got a great interview. We're gonna ask some really complicated and interesting questions. So y'all have a good time. Y'all enjoy, and come check us out. Come on, let's go.
Wait. We gotta get the keys to the city.
Oh yeah, we're gonna see if we can get the keys to the city too. Pleasure to have you here, man. Well, for you to have us here.
Yeah. Well, welcome. I'm glad to have you here at Village Hall.
I got some information here. I wanted to just go through some questions and find out a little bit more about you and, tell the people a little bit more about you. You were elected in 2021 and you grew up in Hempstead before you moved to Elmont, correct? You grew up on the drive?
I grew up on the drive, which was known as Wicklow back in the days. So that's how Hempstead I am. Before it was Martin Luther King Drive, everybody knew it as Wicklow.
Yeah, because when I grew up over by Hollywood, so I know you know where Hollywood is.
Of course.
Franklin.
Yes,
so
yes.
I grew up on East Marshall, so I had friends on the drive all the time. What school did you go to?
I went to Marshall School, Franklin School, and then the middle school.
Like, I'm from the other side of town, from Freeport, so you know what I'm saying?
That don't make you a bad person, but
back in the days, Hempstead and Freeport had a little rival with Hempstead.
Oh, absolutely.
Hempstead had a better football team, you know what I'm saying? But other than that.
And basketball.
Well,
yeah, pretty much
everything.
Pretty much everything. They was a little better at basketball because they did 6 or 7 years in high school, so they was cheating. They was cheating. So
Oh my God.
If you got sophomores in
that's hate right there.
Absolutely.
That's hate.
Absolutely.
So then you moved to Elmont. Around what time was it that you moved to Elmont? How old were you?
Well, I moved to Elmont during my high school years. So I graduated from Sewanaka High School.
Right.
So I started at Sewanaka in 9th grade. And then graduated in 1980. And then after graduating from Sewanaka, moved back to Hempstead. So I was back in Hempstead in 81.
Okay.
81.
And I understand you were a volunteer fireman at that time?
In Elmont, I was the first African-American firefighter in Elmont.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that means you can barbecue real good then, right?
I could put out the barbecue
come on,
good.
you can't be a fireman. You're supposed to know all about all the fires.
I have to know how to cook.
Listen, are you still involved with it?
I'm a volunteer firefighter here in Hempstead. When I left Elmont and came to Hempstead, I joined Hempstead Fire Department.
Wait a minute. So when the siren goes off, you take off your suit and go to the...
Well, listen, not anymore, not as mayor.
You don't respond anymore?
I do respond, but I don't go into buildings, as mayor, of course, but I'm still a Class A firefighter.
Okay.
I take my
you're
physical.
EMTCC too, correct?
Yeah, well, no, I used to be an EMTCC. I was also a skills evaluator, so we were the ones that made sure that the EMT, CCs, and paramedics knew how to draw medications, start IVs, and all that.
I'm a paramedic. That's
But I let mine expire. Of course, becoming mayor, I just didn't.
You don't have time, and I just renewed. It's a pain going through that whole renewal process.
Trust me, I know. So I was one of the skill evaluators. You know what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. That's amazing that you still contribute to the community like that.
Absolutely.
So that's dope. You're a member of a lot of organizations, correct? So you're the member of Mayors for Guaranteed Income, Members for Mayors Against Illegal Guns. So tell us a little bit about, how you became involved with the Mayors for Guaranteed Income and what that's about.
Sure. Well, so I am, first of all, a member of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And as a member of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, I sit on committees. And a couple of committees I sit on is Mayors for Guaranteed Income and also Mayors Against Illegal Guns. That's also being a part of the African American Mayors Association and the New York Conference of Mayors.
Wow.
And each organization that I belong to, I sit on committees. The New York Conference of Mayors, I'm on the policy committee. So we come up with the policies for all the mayors in New York State to meet the needs of those communities. On the African American Mayors Association, which I'll be heading to DC tomorrow, I'm on the police committee and police accountability committee.
Nice. Wait a minute. You got a lot of stuff going on. And you were one of the 100 most influential people in Long Island as well?
Yes, for 4 years in a row.
4 years in a row, huh? So you know who's going to win this year, right?
That's dope.
Who, me?
Well, I'm runner up right now. You know what I'm saying? Right behind you, you know what I'm saying? But
listen,
you wear a lot of hats, so is it difficult to focus on one thing with so many things going on?
It's about time management and it's about having that balance, right? So you have to have the ability to do your job, but also take care of yourself. That's like when you travel on an airplane, they always make the announcement, in the unlikely event that we should lose cabin pressure, oxygen masks will deploy. Put your mask on first before assisting someone else.
Exactly.
Because if you don't take care of you, you can't help anybody else. So that's what I try to do as mayor, and the different things that I do. I make sure that I have time for me so that I can help others.
Now, I did speak to one of your constituents, and she told me
Uh-oh.
to tell you that she got potholes on Webb Avenue right next to Front Street. She said, tell the mayor, send somebody over here to fix her potholes.
So what do you do about complaints like that when
Yeah,
you
what do you
get
do about
complaints from citizens?
Local politics, local government is the best government because you have more access. And so as the mayor, when you go to the restaurant, when you pumping gas, you don't get a lot of hellos. It's, I got a pothole, I got this, they didn't pick up my garbage. Here in the village of Hempstead, we have an app. It's called My Hempstead app.
My Hempstead.
If you have a pothole, all you have to do is put that information in the app, and it'll generate a ticket so that they will fix it. So you don't have to wait to come to my office. You could go on that, download that app, and report it, and they will fix
See,
it.
that's good information.
That is
It's
good. A lot of people may not have known
Now
that.
your
Right,
app
right.
gonna be filled up. Hit
Listen.
the app tonight.
But I want it filled up because with that app, it also gives me the ability to track when people make a complaint and see has it been resolved. Because once that's generated, I get a text message that someone made a complaint about whatever, and that way we can make sure that.
And so you can hold your team accountable.
Oh, absolutely.
Make sure
Yeah.
that everything is going as according to schedule.
Right.
Like that. Balancing all of that has got to be difficult. You're married, you have children.
Yes.
Right. You've been married for 35 plus years.
36 years.
36 years. How is that, man? How has it been being a man of so many hats, like Greg said, and still keeping your wife happy and being able to, spend time with your children?
My wife, when we first was married, she knew that I was a public servant, right? That was my life, like helping people, and also making sure I had that balance of spending family time and community time. And so I'm grateful that I have an understanding wife that knew what she got before we got married and wasn't looking for it to change after we got married. Yes. And I think that's so important. You have to have that communication before you get into a long-term committed relationship, because many times I share with people that if you think that once you marry a person that they're going to change, that's not going to happen. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And so you have to be willing to accept what you get.
Do you know what your wife's love language is?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the people. What is your way that you communicate to your wife that she understands her love language?
Well, and of course, every woman is different, right? Every relationship is different, and so you have to know your spouse, or you have to know the person that you're in a relationship with. But my wife, her love language is making sure that I'm listening and giving her attention without first wanting affection. So as men, we go straight for the target. But women, absolutely.
Intimacy.
Got to be subtle,
Intimacy starts by communication. Just letting your spouse know that I'm here for you. Just giving you a hug and telling you I love you. Just in passing, just reminding them. You know what? I'm glad that I'm married to you. Listen, there's a verse in the Bible that says, "He that findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor." And I believe that when you find the right wife for you, that favor comes your way. Yeah. Doors open because of the wife that I'm married to. I'm reminded of a story that former New York City Mayor Dinkins was traveling in his motorcade. And as they're traveling in the motorcade, he looks and he sees a construction site, and he touches his wife and says, "Oh, that's the guy you used to date when you was growing up." He said, "See, if you would have married him, you would have been married to a construction worker." She said, "No, if I married him, he would have been the mayor."
Wow. Wow. Okay.
So that's the type of favor that your wife brings to you, and so we have to appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Nice. Very nice.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's a good answer. That's
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? You should get some good points for that.
I love that.
That was a very
All right.
good answer.
You also are a clergy liaison for the NYPD. Is that correct? Is that still active?
No, I used to be the clergy liaison for the 60th precinct. I am a pastor 30 years in Coney Island Cathedral. And so 30 years ago when I started pastoring, I was appointed as the clergy liaison for the 60th precinct. It's that liaison between the clergy community and the police department because my background is investigation. I worked for the Department of Investigation, so that's my background. Nice. And so when I started pastoring, they asked if I would serve as the clergy liaison.
Nice. Okay. And I understand that started by you being a child prodigy, so to speak, in the preaching department. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I started my calling when I was 14 years old.
14,
yes, I was licensed in October the 9th, 1976.
And what was the first big crowd that you spoke in front of?
My initial sermon. Because, you know, a 14-year-old preaching their first sermon.
That's big news.
Yeah.
Everybody come and see that.
Yeah. So it was definitely a large crowd.
Beautiful.
And I want to share this, that was a challenge, right? And I'm grateful that at that time, you know, my pastor, Dr. Howell,
Joseph Howell?
Joseph Howell, that was my pastor.
Yeah, that was mine too.
Okay. I like the fact that he was able to invest in a young person into ministry, but at the same time reminding me that I'm still maturing, I'm still growing. There's some things because I think that now that's what's missing sometime in church, where people try to act like everybody's perfect. You're not going to make any mistakes. 14 years old, I still had to go through the challenges of becoming a man and
then you got your
dating
peer pressure.
and peer pressure. Absolutely. There's a saying that, in church we often say, I looked at my hands looked new. I looked at my feet did too. No, they was the same old hands, same old feet. And so, dealing with that, I think that it's important that, especially with young people in ministry, that we let them know that you're going to make some mistakes. You're still going to have some challenges, but your mistakes don't define you. And so I'm grateful again that I had people that saw that in me and encouraged me even when I messed up.
If you could instantly fix one issue in this city, what would it be? If you could just say, all right, I've really got to get rid of this problem, what would it be?
Well, I'll tell you what it would be. It wouldn't be crime. It wouldn't be potholes. It wouldn't be garbage. It would be having the ability to get a majority of our residents to understand that you deserve better. Better includes you. That you shouldn't feel that better is moving you out the way. And oftentimes in our community, when we see economic development, when we see growth and improvement, we think of gentrification. But we deserve to live in a safe community. We deserve to live in a community that have great businesses and restaurants. And so, there's a saying, such as a man thinketh, so is he. I would like to see a mindset of a lot of our people change to know that you deserve better, and better does not push you out, but better includes you.
Are there any programs right now for the low-income people that live in Hempstead, particularly areas like Terrace Avenue, that could help people kind of get on their feet and maybe find jobs or do things like that? We
have, as we're doing our downtown revitalization, the development that's taking place, we have what is called a community benefit agreement. One of the things is that we're making sure that a certain percentage of our residents get job opportunity. We have, through the Crescent organization, a workforce development in place where they get their OSHA training, and now it's an OSHA 6 or some other training, that they get all this training so that they can get on the job site. I just met with a local union and introduced them to the school district, because what they're doing is they're going to be taking some of our high school students, putting them in an apprenticeship program so that when they graduate, they are already in the union and they don't have to go through the whole apprenticeship program after graduating, but they'll be ready for work. We have close to, it's going to be a $1 billion downtown revitalization that's happening in Hempstead. I want to make sure that the majority of that wealth stays in our community.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful thing in Hempstead. It's a close-knit community, and I had some family members in Hempstead, and I've been back and forth in Hempstead for all these years. But now they say that they're going to have affordable housing, right? So what is considered like a one-bedroom for $3,000 is like sometimes considered affordable housing,
Right. There is a difference between affordable and low income, right?
Okay.
Hempstead is inundated with low income. We have the most majority of low income housing compared to our neighbors of Garden City, Rockville Center, Freeport. And so here in Nassau County, what's needed is to take that low income and spread it among the county. Because any community that's inundated with any one thing, it doesn't bring growth in the community. And so what we're doing now is, as we're doing our development, we're doing affordable, which goes by the medium income, right?
Okay.
So the average income of your residents, that's how they gauge the price. But not only are we doing affordable, but we're also doing market rate, because we are the transit hub. We have the Long Island Railroad, we have the Rosa Park bus station, and so now we're trying to do development that's going to attract young professionals.
Right.
Our police officers, firefighters, teachers, doctors, and lawyers, our students that are graduating from
We
college.
want people like that to
Oh,
move,
absolutely.
to move to these
To
communities.
stay in the community.
To
not
stay in
just
the
work
community.
here
Right,
and go
right,
somewhere
right.
else.
And so that's how a community grows, by that sort of diversity. You want to have affordable, but at the same time you want to have market rate, because you want people to be able to come to your community, shop, dine, and be entertained.
Yeah.
And
Glad
so
you
that's the
cleared
type
that
of
up, 'cause I
development.
looked at an affordable house. It was like $3,000 for one bedroom. I'm like, well, who can
Yeah.
afford these
Yeah, who can
houses?
afford that?
Affordable to
Right,
who,
right, right, yeah.
It's accepted to to each neighborhood, the medium income.
The medium
That's good
income, yeah.
information,
Yeah. Why don't you talk just briefly about some of the projects that you're working on now, just so you can kind of let the people know that you do have some projects. You were telling me about a park project and the Helen Keller building. You want to briefly touch on that?
Sure. In the 4 years that I've been in office, we have been able to bring in close to $140 million in funding.
Nice.
And funding to $9.9 million to do a brand new pool at Kennedy Park. Funding like $37 million to build a whole new water plant, because not just in Hempstead, but in Long Island, we have what is called 1.4 dioxin in water. And that comes from shampoo, laundry detergent. And so the state has mandated that we get that out of our water. And so we had to build a whole new water plant. Our water plant is over 100 years old. And so if we had to build that water plant without getting funding, that means that would have been on the back of our taxpayers. Right. We had to raise taxes. But because of my relationship on the federal and state level, we've been able to get this funding to make sure that we get things done. We're also going to be building a brand new park facility at Michelle Park, which is by Tariffs Avenue.
Okay.
Michelle Park is the only park that we have that doesn't have indoor facility, doesn't have a water fountain. It's just a basketball court. And so we're going to build a brand new facility, indoor facility, a half-court basketball court, a meeting room. And not only that, we're going to have track and field. We're going to have an exercise portion. And so that's going to help the residents on Terrace Avenue, because think about it. When you're in an environment that, not only do you have to deal with your, being in an apartment, but when you go outside for fresh air, you don't really have anything there.
Nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go, right?
Yeah.
And so we're going to build this new facility, and it's going to be beneficial to the residents of that area. We have been able to purchase, in these 4 years, 22 new police cars, 12 bicycles, 6 motorcycles, by having funding where it did not cost the taxpayers a dime.
Okay.
Because if we didn't have the funding, we would have to do what is called bond. And bond is borrowing. So we would have to borrow, and what you borrow, you got to pay back.
Of course.
Yeah.
But again, because we've had relationships on the federal and state level, from the White House to the governor's mansion, we've been able to get the money that Hempstead deserves. And so this is how we've been able to do these projects.
Speaking of the White House, what's your relationship with President Trump?
Well, I can tell you what, I met President Trump, but not when he was president. Being pastor of Coney Island, Trump has a lot of development in the Coney Island area. Okay. And so I met him at many meetings. As a matter of fact, they had an event at the stadium there. At that time, it was called the Cyclone Stadium. and he flew in this Trump helicopter and all that, and he did the Trump thing. I haven't met him yet as president, but I will be meeting him because as a member of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, every time we meet and we go to D.C., we always get an invitation to meet the president. So it doesn't make a difference as Democrat or Republican. That's just the way it happens. And although many of his values are not my values, but I still have to make sure as the mayor of Hempstead that we have those relationships so that we can get the resources.
So you have to respect him. You have to make sure that he recognizes who you are and what you bring to the table.
Right. Anything in life, it's not about respecting the person, it's respecting the office, right? Absolutely. That's what we respect.
The person's going to change.
The person's going to change, but the office doesn't change.
Not necessarily, because he said he's going to run again. How do you feel about it?
Well, listen, so one thing for sure and two things for certain. It's called the Constitution of the United States. Man. So he can do all the executive orders he wants. He cannot do anything that's contrary to the Constitution. And that's where you're going to see, well, you've already seen it. Yeah. Things that he's did in executive orders, he had to change it because it was against the Constitution.
But how do you feel about the tariffs?
The tariffs is going to hurt everybody on every side. We're going to see it hurt our pockets. As a matter of fact, when Wall Street start to feel the effect of just talking about tariffs and stock started to fall, then he held back.
No.
I'm going to tell you right now that this is all a game for the wealthy. Yeah. Because no matter as stock markets start to fall and stock prices drop, although they're losing millions and trillions of dollars, they still have enough money to buy these stocks when they're low, and when things come back up, they're getting their money back up. Yeah. It's not hurting the rich the way it's going to hurt us. But listen, I'm a firm believer that as a people, we have survived worse times than this. Absolutely. And if we made it through yesterday, we're going to make it through today.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Well, listen, we know you're short on time. We got about 5 minutes left. I wanted to run through a couple of rapid fire questions and kind of get your opinions on just some simple yes or no questions and stuff like that. First question is, what would be your dream collab? If mayors could do features like a rapper, who would you collab with? Who would be your dream collaboration?
Does it have to be a mayor? Or
no, it doesn't have to be a mayor. It could be anybody.
Really? Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
My girl Cardi B. And Kendrick Lamar, absolutely.
Wait a minute, you might fit into the game pretty good, man.
That's my collab.
I thought you were gonna say like Barack Obama.
No. Listen.
James Carmel. No, he said Cardi B.
Absolutely.
Is there one trend word or slang word that still confuses you now that you don't understand why they say this? Or any trend that's going on?
Well, you know what? I think I'm pretty abreast of most slangs and trends based on my children and nieces and nephew. Once in a while, they get me with the, what do you call it when they, initials for things. Like, I know LOL, I know what that means. Yeah. But sometimes they get me with that text. I'll be like.
They got to put OLD, that's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, that's our initial. I tell you, because my mother-in-law, and this is true, so again, not understanding the LOLs or whatever, someone passed away. And, one of her friends, I had a family member that passed away. And so she texted him, I'm sorry for your loss, LOL.
She meant lots of love.
That's what she meant, right? Right, she didn't mean laugh out loud. She said, oh my goodness, I thought it meant this. So, sometimes we get mixed up, yes.
Gotcha. I have one more question for you. If the city threw a roast in your honor, who would you want to host it? Who would you want to roast, a comedian?
I would have to say I would want my man Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle, yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
He probably roast you pretty good.
He would, but I would want my man Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, that's a good choice. That's a good choice. If you could leave one lasting legacy as mayor of Hempstead, what would it be?
Having the ability to lay the foundation that others could build upon, because I think that's important. I'm not looking to be the best mayor that Hempstead has ever had, but I'm looking to be the mayor that laid the foundation for the best mayor that Hempstead will ever have.
So to keep having Hempstead grow and be more successful and flourish. That's excellent. That's excellent. All right. Well, listen, Mayor, we know you got to go. We want to thank you for your time. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you.
It was really good.
And getting to know you, that's dope. But before you go, man, we need you to do one thing.
What's that?
Now you got to join the gang.
My name is Waylyn Hobbs Jr. I am the mayor of the Incorporated Village of Hempstead, and I am now officially a member of the Recycle Teenagers.
Oh, that's a new one. He called it the Recycle Teenagers.
But I'm happy to be a member of the gang, and thank you again for this interview. Of
course.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks. Dope interview.
Oh, that was dope, man.
Man, that was fire.
Yo, you had a great interview with Mayor Hobbs, man. What did you think?
I think it was good, man. We got some information. We got good information for the people in the community, man. You know what I'm saying?
So listen,
I'm
y'all gotta
impressed.
tap in with us at the Old Man Gang on our YouTube channel if you're not already following us. Listen, we everywhere. We got to
everywhere.
interview the mayor. We might be interviewing Donald Trump. You never know.
You never
man.
know.
You never
know.
know.
what I'm saying? We might stop the tariffs on our own. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You never know where the Old Man Gang is gonna be at. Let's be out, bro.
No doubt.